Hey, and welcome to Async. I'm Sadia. So, follow up from your previous episode, Joshua, let's talk about social media. It seems a bit ridiculous to me that we're sort of talking about how neither of us really like social media, and yet we're trying to reach an audience on social media. Maybe we should like it more. Maybe we should sort of embrace this whole social media thing. Maybe we're just being old fuddy-duddies. But yeah, I really do not like. So obviously, I've had to install Instagram onto my phone in order to be able to post to Instagram, and just like I do not love what it's doing to my brain. Like so easy to just scroll and keep scrolling, and man, oh yeah, it does something to you. And maybe people are used to it. Maybe people are used to this feeling of just like, yeah, jump into Instagram, jump into whatever social media feed and scroll and scroll. But it's not something that I'm used to, and I really don't like how compelled, how under the influence I feel. And so I'm I'm really like I'm avoiding it. I really am avoiding it. I don't mind going on there to post something, but that's that. Anyway, but then like other social media, I'm not on other social media. I'm not even on Mastodon anymore. I'm not on X. I'm not on YouTube. I use Nebula for a lot of my video streaming slash entertainment, and Apple TV Plus for other. That doesn't count as social media. I'm just not on any social media at all, and it's great. Actually, I think it's how everybody should be. It feels clean, I don't know. It seems super judgy to say no social media at all. I mean, I guess that's what I do think, though. That's what I really believe. So, um, to my wife, if you're listening. Anyway, so yes, I guess we will keep going to social media because that's where an audience is. And what are we going to do? Tell that audience to get off social media? Yeah, I guess that's what I am doing. All right. So, yeah, that doesn't really make sense, but that's what it is. I am ready to go public with this podcast whenever you are. What are the next steps? Let's put together a shared Apple Notes document. You shared a meme with me. Was it you? Somebody shared a meme with me that was like a graph of like a small brain, big brain, and ascendant, like epiphany brain. And the small brain used Apple Notes. Big brain used like a whole bunch of different tools like Notion and other Google Drive and all things, and they all had arrows pointing to each other, and the universe brain had Apple Notes. And that's where I feel like I am. I'm universe brain, and I think we should use Apple Notes. I think it's the best note-taking app, and it's the easiest way to collaborate. So let's share an Apple Notes doc and figure out what are our next steps. Last bit of follow-up, you talked about working and having audiobooks and music while you work. So I cannot do audiobooks or podcasts while I'm working. I find the distraction just too much. Either I'm not listening to the podcast or I'm not focusing on work. But I think my design process is really different to yours. So my design process doesn't involve a lot of play, actually. We are the same in that we will think through a problem and a problem space and try and find that same problem and how it's been addressed in other verticals, other apps. Like at the moment, I'm trying to figure out how do I present my users with a binary choice. I want you to import or start a new podcast. You're either going to import an existing podcast or you're going to start a brand new one. How do I present a binary choice? It could be just like a little pop-up at the bottom of the screen, like a little tiny modal with 2 buttons. It could be full screen takeover with 2 big options, like a wizard style. And so I'm looking at how other apps do it. How does Reader do it? And I always look at like Apple's apps. I've got a bunch of apps installed on my phone that I never really use, but I really like their design language. I've got a couple on my Mac too, same reason. And I just look at them. Flighty is a great one. I just look at them for design inspiration. So I'll just go through and say, does Flighty ever encounter this particular problem? Like, there's a great Tides app as well. I'll link these in the show notes. Does this Tides app ever have this same, say, the binary problem or a modal pop-up problem or a various different design problems? And then I'll see how they solve it. But then that's where we're the same, but where we're different is my next step is to go and implement that straight away. So I design in context, in situ, with code, not with the visual design tool. So part of the design process is, well, I could solve it the same way that Flighty solves it, but that's gonna mean that I'm gonna need this whole like separate class and all of these extensions and modifiers. But if I just like do it the other way, then it's actually all there's already a neat package ready to go with SwiftUI, and maybe in the future, if that gets like API updates or whatever, I'll automatically get those updates, and I'm not extending the system in a weird way. So that is always, it sort of plays a part in my design process. I really like the concept of designing in SwiftUI, as we've talked about in previous podcasts. I'm a big proponent of that. So because I'm designing in code, I don't really have the like attention to put into a podcast or an audiobook, and I just find it distracting having it in the background. So I'm only music, except quite a lot of the time I'm just silence. You know, like thank God we've got like a nice ambience here, and there's birds around and things like that. So maybe that counts as like a white noise app, but only it's actual real noise. Yeah. I hope you can hear all of the chatter that's happening around me. All right, my topic this week, offline time. So this week, in the past week, we've had just religious holidays. And normally in like, calendar year, if there is like 3 Jewish holidays back to back, where it's like no electronics for 3 days in a row, no travel, no driving, no turning light switches on and off. That's whole part of like the Jewish Sabbath thing, And so if we have like 3 of those in a row, and that happens once in a year, that is well, for me, it's sort of considered bad luck. Like, oh, it's not that I'm gonna have bad luck. It's just like, oh, it doesn't happen very often. Oh, I have 3 days in a row where I can't do anything. It happens maybe every 2nd or 3rd year. But this year, we've had 3 lots of 3 days in a row. So we had Rosh Hashanah was, I believe it was like Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then for Sukkot, this year we have 2 lots of Thursday, Fridays, and then Shabbat on Saturday. And so that happened last week, and then again it will happen this coming Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And 3 days to be without your phone is a long time. And what happened for me this time also is, on Wednesday my daughter was like taking photos of me getting the sukkah ready, and she dropped my phone on the gravel and it smashed the screen. Like you, I also am a Rudy Nudie with my phone. I don't use a case, and so I can't tolerate a smashed screen. I lost my cool. I really did. For some reason, smashing my iPhone screen, I don't know. I've got Apple Care though, so it was a cheap fix. And so I went to the Apple store, like, as soon as it happened. I made an appointment, and I went there a few hours later, and they said, oh yeah, usually it's like a pretty like quick turnaround, an hour, 2 hours. They said, oh, we can have it for you tomorrow. But I wasn't able to pick it up because it was this Yom Tov, and so like I wasn't actually able to go in and get my phone until the Sunday. So I was without my phone from Wednesday afternoon until Sunday lunch. And it was wonderful. I loved, I mean, normally for a 3-day thing, I'm without my phone for that time. And at the end of it, I'm really itching to get on my phone, right? And what I realized this time is it's not so much about being back on a screen or being reconnected or whatever. I was still getting news because we were having visitors and they were coming and telling me what was happening in the world. It was more, I don't know, it wasn't so much that I wanted to get back on my screen after these 3 days, because you do feel a bit of an itch, but I realized that the itch was less about being on a screen and more about just leaving my property, leaving home, going out back into the world. And I went for a drive to the shops to pick up a few things on that night, and that scratched the itch. I didn't have my phone with me after that Shabbat until the Sunday, and so I don't know, I still put my Apple Watch on, and I still I went on my laptop for a little bit, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this time away from my screen, and I really found myself wrestling with this. Do I even need to have, can I just use a dumb phone? And I realized that it's like this cycle that I go through. I don't know about you, but every 4 years or so, or maybe it's like I have the 3-year iPhone cycle, new phone. So first year, I'm like, oh yeah, I've got a new phone. It's great. Install all the things and use it to its fullest potential and use all the features. Second year, especially towards the end of that second year, which is where I am now, new iPhone's out already, and I'm like, I'm not going to get this newest one. Maybe I can do without some of these features. And I start to like really go down this dumb phone route every few years and wondering if I can do it. And then third year, maybe as the new iPhone's starting to be rumored, I start going, oh, new iPhone, oh yeah, this could be good. And then I start getting back on the iPhone train and getting all excited about what's about to come out. And then it comes out and I get it, and the whole process starts again. I did for a few years actually use a dumb phone instead of an iPhone. But I'm an iOS developer, so that doesn't make any sort of sense. What's going on? I don't know. Any thoughts, Joshua? I'll see you soon.